right, so today we are talking about the factors leading to World War I. But before we start, we're going to do a little review. Now, I told you when we started the Industrial Revolution unit that everything from that unit on actually brings us to World War I. So let's start. We had the Agricultural Revolution, where new technology, farming methods, and ways to breed animals actually caused a baby boom because people had more access to food, cheaper food. It made them happy. It made them get their jams on. And they end up having a lot of babies. Well, this caused an issue because everything was made by hand. And with all these babies, it was impossible to keep up with the demand of products. So Industrial Revolution took place. And what that was, it was an increase in machine-made goods. Industrial Revolution happened and people moved from the rural areas to the urban areas, which is cities. So now all these cities are blooming with all these various factories creating different items. And it was going good. The economy was growing. Transportation was growing, which pretty much took the cities and civilizations to a whole nother level. But a problem occurred. And we talked about this when we came into imperialism. The people during the industrialization revolution, they had a problem because they either ran out of resources or they ran out of people to sell their product to. So they had to go to find more resources to make their product or more people to sell their product to. And that is what brought us to imperialism. Imperialism is when one country dominates another country. So now you have these Western civilizations that's going over to Africa and Asia to pretty much control a country. They're like, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. And we kind of saw this when we talked about the scramble for Africa. If you recall, I told you that Western civilizations, they looked at Africa and they're like, oh my gosh, we have this continent over here with a lot of resources and a lot of people. This will be a nice addition to our little portfolio. But conflict was arising because a lot of countries had their eyes on the same country. So they said, hey, let us all meet in Berlin. This is called the Berlin Conference. And let us decide how to divide Africa. Now, remember I said the Berlin Conference, one thing that happened was no Africans were invited. So now you have all the Western civilizations dividing Africa and none of the Africans have input. We also talked about India and how Britain looked at India as the jewel of the crown because India in Asia, now we're moving to Asia, had an abundance of resources and people. They moved from direct rule to indirect rule. So now you have Asian countries, and we talked about the fall of the Ottoman Empire as well, and we talked about Egypt and the building of the Suez Canal. So all of these things are occurring during this period of imperialism. But if you recall in the example I gave in class, when we were talking about the scramble for Africa, and I had all of you guys run and pick the country that you wanted, some people didn't get the country that they wanted. And that caused people to be angry and kind of look at y'all like, okay, yeah, you got me, you got me. But the reality is that was the reality with other countries. They were like, I really wanted that resource. You beat me, but it's okay. Do one thing, and it's going to be mine. So let's put that on the back burner. But I just remember, I wanted to let you know how that was forming, how the tensions were forming. And I want to also review the 3 reasons that help push imperialism. I told you, nationalism, a strong sense of devotion to one's country. Racism, the belief that some races are superior to the other races. And social Darwinism, that the belief that the fittest race would survive. It's survival of the fittest on a human level, not like bio when they talked about the animals and evolution. It's social Darwinism that pretty much just focused on the races. So now we are here, right before World War I. And I'm going to tell you the factors that led to World War I. Got to take a little break. Hold on. Yeah, y'all know how I do. Okay, I'm back. Yes, I'm not going to cut that from the video. Yep, I'm going to keep it in. Yes, I know. It looks a little ghetto, but roll with me now. All right, so first thing, since we already talked about it, let's talk about nationalism. So every nation during this time, especially in the Western civilizations, are saying their country is the greatest. We are the smartest. We are the greatest. We are the strongest. We are the most intelligent. We're the most prettiest. There's nobody better than us. Now, when every nation is saying that, it's unrealistic, because how many number ones can there be? Only one, right? But everybody's saying they're number one. And this is tensions forming, because it's like you got some countries looking like, you know, you ain't number one. Come on now. You are not like us. You are. So here we are. We got a little ego going on. All the nations are like, and all the people within their nations, like, we're the greatest, hands down. No, it's no argument. That's the first one. Now, in order to be number one, you gotta talk. You can't just talk about it. You have to be about it. And what do you need to make sure that you're number one? You need weapons. I mean, really. How are you going to say you're number one and somebody be like, sit down? Right? No country wants to be punked. So in order to say they're number one, they need to make sure they have weapons to back up what they're saying. And this starts the second factor, militarism. Militarism. This is when the countries grow their military. They want to make sure they have the strongest military. And yeah, that's my definition. I'm not giving you the in dictionary definition. I'm giving you one that you can remember. If the countries want to grow their military where they are the strongest military around. So, okay, you got 5 guns. I got 10. Oh, you got a little sailboat. I got 9. Oh, you have a regular rifle. I have a machine gun. There's no competition. Once again, we're the greatest, right? So now you have nationalism and militarism. Those are 2 factors. Now, let's talk about the next one. Alliances. Now, I don't know if you guys remember when I stated that alliances, the first alliance that we kind of saw was during the Industrial Revolution period, when Britain and America started to trade. Well, Britain bought all of America's cotton, and America sold Britain all the cotton they could sell, and their economies were intertwined. So now you have alliances. You have people, countries actually, who have made deals with other countries, and these deals kind of intertwine their economy. So now if something happens to them, it affects the other person. It affects the other country. So these alliances are very important. And these alliances, as you'll see when we talk about World War I, is going to bring us into war. Shalimar, can you pause my video for a minute, please? All right, so I am back. And I should have probably started with the first factor, which is imperialism. So you have imperialism, nationalism, militarism, and system of alliances. And I already told you imperialism, this is going to help start the war for a few reasons. You have the people who are colonized in the countries that are kind of angry. They kind of want to revolt a little. And we'll talk about that when it comes to Serbia. And then you have nationalism, every country thinking they're the best, all right? Then you have militarism. Everybody is building up their military. So that's already a problem, right? Because when a person gets a lot of weapons, they're going to be making some boss moves, right? Who going to stop me? Who going to stop me? I got all these weapons. You got what? A little shotgun? And then you have the system of alliances. So I really want to focus on a system of alliances for a little while because I want you to understand it's real world, all right? In high school, now mind you, let me do this disclaimer. I do not condone violence. I don't think you guys should fight. Fighting is wrong. A student just said something off camera that has me clutching my invisible pearls. Fighting is wrong. But we can use high school to actually make this example for the system of alliances, okay? Everybody usually has a certain amount of friends up in high school, right? And in every group of friends, there's always that mouthy friend. That mouthy, irrational friend that always wants to start fights. And if you're a true friend, per high school theory, not really, because when you're grown, you're like, I'm not getting involved. But in high school, you're like, I can't let my friend get jumped. I can't let my friend fight. And I want you to apply that to alliances. Now, of course, these countries don't really care. They're not really loyal to each other in a sense of friendship. They're loyal to each other in a sense of the economy. So let me give you an example. I'm going to use some students' names just for the purposes of this example. And it is not real. All right? Shalimar is a student who runs his mouth a lot. He runs his mouth a lot. Where Harmony is his friend, and she's kind of really, really quiet. So Shalimar goes to Bryson and talks a lot of crap to Bryson. Now, Bryson just looking at him like, all right. But Bryson is friends with Khalid. And Khalid is that hot one in the group. So Khalid is like, you ain't gonna just come up here talking this stuff to my friend Shalimar. Bryson's like, be cool, Khalid. Harmony is like, be cool, Shalimar. Why? Because they're like, look, I don't want to fight. And we're gonna make it over something stupid. We're gonna say Bryson made a mistake and stepped on Shalimar's shoe. All right? So Shalimar all in Bryson's face. Khalid is getting mad. Bryson is like, you know what? It ain't that deep. Harmony's like, be easy. But Harmony has another friend who's a hothead named Ryan. Little Ryan here is now getting involved with the conflict. And Harmony's like, pause, you guys. It's just a shoe. It's not that deep. And Khalid is like, Bryson, you ain't gonna let these three people punk you like that. So here you have the Madisons. Khalid got Madison number 1 and Madison number 2. They're like, oh no. And I seen Harmony roll her eyes. She can get it. Now, this may seem a little far-fetched, but it happens every day. I know, because you guys tell me all your business. So I want you to realize that the war and how it starts is going to start very similar to this. You got 1 or 2 hot-headed countries who have alliances with other countries, and they start to go to war. And in essence, because they start to go to war, all of their alliances have to go to war with them. And this is why World War I is going to be a world war, because so many alliances have started. So this is my little mini lessons. We'll talk more in class, but for those of you who are not here, this is what it is, okay? 4 factors leading to World War I. Imperialism, nationalism, militarism, system of alliances. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.